Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 132 of Petey's Awesome Guest Panel. And before we introduce tonight's legendary guest star, I just want to get down to some business before we start. First of all, I'd like to dedicate this episode to the memory of the late, great Robert Axelrod and Bob Papenbrook, who played Lord Zed, and I believe he also played Deviant on Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, respectively. Now, to introduce tonight's co-host for this evening, they're all Power Ranger enthusiasts. First off, my buddy, the man who is the Ed McMahon to my Johnny Carson, and that is Mr. Christopher Petey.
Yo.
See what you're doing there, Chris? It's more like hey-yo instead of hi-yo. So good thing on the gimmick infringement. Now moving now with our next co-host, another Power Ranger enthusiast, another good friend of mine from jolly old England, and that is Mr. Kwame Jacobs.
Yo, what's up, guys? Yeah, like my name, Mike. Finally, my voice is clear. Yeah, I'm gonna be using it from now on. Okay, it's on noise. It's on noise. Well, I'll explain later.
Okay, but I'm so glad you're feeling better.
Thanks. Wait, what do you mean?
Like you said, your voice. You said you finally got your voice back, didn't you?
Oh yeah. Because it was my audio. That's why my voice is a lot more clearer. Because I got my brand new mic yesterday.
Okay. Introducing also tonight. We have not only a Power Ranger enthusiast, but also a very powerful Power Ranger villain too. We have Mr. Daniel Romano / Goldar. It's so good to see you, Goldar, and or Dan.
Thanks for having me, Pete. Glad to be here.
Always a pleasure to have
you.
Always a pleasure. Now introducing also tonight Power Ranger enthusiast and voice acting enthusiast as well, and that is Miss Jessie Devine.
Hi guys.
Second, you were so good, Jess, on your first show. We had to bring you back.
Thank you.
Full time. Now
glad you're back anyway.
Yeah.
Thank you. How nice.
Now introducing tonight's legendary name, let me just say I've been a fan of this man for many, many years. Not only that, but I had the pleasure and privilege of meeting this gentleman at Power Morphicon this year. He's a wonderful man, and he voiced one of my favorite villains growing up on Power Rangers. My guest this time is Mr. Goldar himself, Mr. Kerrigan Mahan. Kerrigan, welcome. How are you today, sir?
I'm good, Pete. How are you?
Fantastical.
This is fun.
This is.
How are you guys?
Good. We're good. We're good.
Good.
We're good.
I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you. I'm flattered.
We're so honored to have you, sir. I mean, just talking to you right now, I feel like that little boy again watching Power Rangers, and that's a huge compliment because I feared the shit out of you back in the day.
Well, you feel like a little boy talking to me, and I feel like a young 38-year-old talking to you, and I'm not.
We all win, right?
What's that?
We all win.
Yeah, it's a win-win. It's like we all get to go back in time.
Excellent.
You guys, most of you guys are not, I don't believe, and I'm probably wrong on somebody, but you probably really, I was recording in 93 at the ages you are, if not you guys being younger than I was when I was recording him.
I was 7 at the time myself.
How old?
7.
No, now. How old? No, not then. How old are you all now?
34.
I'm 32.
23.
See, nobody is, none of you are even as old as I was when I was recording Goldar at 38.
Actually, I'm just a little bit older than that right now, 39.
Okay, so I was recording Goldar when at the age you are now, sir.
Yeah.
In 93. When it first came out. That's how far back we're all going here.
Before we get into the questions, Kerrigan, can I just show you a picture? This was literally taken like a day after the Power Ranger movie, which you kicked ass in, the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie, where you, Paul Freeman, all of you just kicked so much ass in. This was me a day after the Power Ranger movie aired.
Oh,
back in 95, eh?
That's 95. Me with my Billy doll.
Yep. There you go. You were a young boy, and I was 40 years old.
You were kicking so much ass, though.
Yeah, we had a good time. It was an awfully fun time in my life.
One of the questions I had for you too, Kerrigan, and this is going to be a typical cliche question, and that is, talk about your memories of your audition for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and how you landed the role as Goldar. Take us there.
Well, I will, and the difference between taking you there in fantasy land and taking you there in honest Hollywood honesty land, which is an oxymoron in and of itself. But now some of these questions that you're going to ask, I may not have very good answers for, because, you know, the one I cannot do this question of if you were to fight. So if you have it now on your list, if Goldar was to fight this monster, that monster, the other monster, just eliminate that question, because I can't answer those kinds of questions. I'm an actor.
Oh, no worries. There were no fighting questions.
But they
Yeah,
come
there's
out.
not those
They come
questions there.
up. Those questions come up, and I just kind of go, wow, I don't know what to tell you on that. Now, I can have fun with the question you just asked. The audition process for this was very unique, respectful of how auditions usually work. You know, usually you will, as an actor, your agent calls and says you have an audition, and you go to a location in the day anyway. You didn't record anything at home or any of that. And you read for whatever character you were supposed to read for, and that was pretty much the end of it. And if you heard something, great, and if you didn't, you move on. You know, in the beginning stages of acting, you're always like, did they call? Yeah. And it's like, no. And as you become somewhat more seasoned very quickly, I might add, you know, you walk away and move on to the next gig, either a job or audition, and you pay no attention to any of it. Well, that is not how this worked at all. We had all, you know, it's almost like we were an acting troupe. And the majority of us in the beginning came out of a little studio called Intersound, where we were all making an afternoon anime called Robotech, which
I
is
remember that.
probably a little before all of your time, but I'd like to believe it's held up and has been somewhat resurrected. And I fell into Robotech. That's another story, which we'll share later or not. But Tony Oliver, who played the lead in Robotech, his character's name escapes me, but I'd like to believe it will come to me. He actually changed hats from actor to producer, and he called up. He actually called us all in, the ones that he wanted to read for these roles. We weren't really auditioning. we were recording the pilot. You know, a pilot is if anybody doesn't know what a pilot is, that's
I know what it
yeah,
is.
kind of the teaser episode for Hyam to basically try to sell it. And he'd been trying to sell it for many years, and nobody had any interest in it at all. So Tony kind of handpicked us. Rick Hunter, by the way, that was Tony's role in Robotech. So Tony wound up over at Saban. Saban was a new player on the block. They had done music over in Europe for cartoons, and he developed this show, and it was getting close. Somebody was somewhat interested, I guess, and Tony called us all in and said, you know, pointed to who was going to do which character. So there was no formal audition. And I was standing there, and Mike Sorich had been basically assigned Squat, and Dave Mallow had been assigned Babu, and Robert Axelrod wasn't there at all. Barbara, of course, had been assigned, you know, all the characters that you guys all know. And at the last minute, Tony said, Kerrigan, do this Gold guy. He doesn't have much of a part, and just throw some voice at him, says some monster voice or something. Well, I said, okay. So we all went through the paces of recording. We were in and out of there inside of 45 minutes, if not less. and I didn't I didn't focus too much on the voice. I think I had, a grunt and a maybe 3 words or something. I don't recall. I really don't recall. I'd love to see it. And that was it. We all walked away and went on with our lives. And I guess about 6, 7, 8 weeks later, Tony called and said, well, this thing is sold and we're going to start recording. And none of us kind of really, we were all a little like, really? We're going to do this show. Yeah. And that was pretty much it. And we started recording. We moved around to many different studios. In the beginning, there was no set studio. We didn't record it at Saban's studio on Ventura, or we did for a while, and then we wound up at different studios. And again, my part wasn't much of anything. I wasn't paying much attention at all. And then Tony called me one night and said, yes, we made a mistake. This Goldar character is very big, and you're going to have to figure out that voice. I said, wow, is that right? Yeah. He said, you got about 40 lines coming up in the next episode, which is a 2 or a 3-parter, I think was, that's the one where evil is the new green,
Oh,
or
Green with Evil, that was
Green with Evil.
5.
Yeah,
That
Green
was 5
Veal.
parts.
Green Veal.
5 parts. You're right.
Excellent.
And that's where they said, he said, we've made a mistake. And I said, well, we have made a mistake because I can't sustain the voice I've given him at all. So I went down I had a little basement in a house I lived in Burbank where I played drums. And, I'd been doing voices for a long time at that point. I mean, my sister and I used to imitate, commercials, and we were doing it for a long time. So, this wasn't like, oh my gosh, this is all so new to me. No, it wasn't at all new to me. But having to figure out what to do and how to make this work, and realizing it was going to be a voice I had to sustain, I spent about an hour figuring out the placement. It's no real different than a rock and roll singer. It's like, how does Bruce really get away with 3-hour concerts? There's a lot of cheating. There's a lot of cheating that goes on. And when I say that, I mean with 100% all due respect. You find little secrets of how you can get away with, dare I say, screaming. You really, over the years, you really get to know your vocal cords. And when I compare this to rock and roll, I mean that. And the other secret to the voice was keeping the headphones very hot in my head so I could hear that placement. I needed to really, many times in the recording, I'd say, give me more. There. And that's all I do before we start recording, just to get the voice rolling over the chords with a lot of air, and yet it still sounded very big. And when Tony heard what I had done with it, he said, this is fabulous. It sounds phenomenal. How long do you think you can record? I said, I don't know yet. Let's see how it goes. And I'll have that answer for you after recording session 1. So I went in with Scott and we recorded, now we're on to this, the 5-parter. And I guess I went about 45, maybe an hour, steady recording. And I said to Scott, that's going to be it. That's going to be it for today. I never was in a position where I had to get so much recorded in a session. I kind of there was an unwritten rule that I could sustain doing Goldar for about 45 minutes. And that was established out of the gate. It was like, that's safe. Meaning I could go on and do another job. I could go on and do other auditions. Nothing was hurting. You never leave a studio hurting. If you've left a studio with your voice hurting, you don't know what you're doing. You can't do that. And that's not to say that you don't sometimes get into situations that are becoming very political and very problematic, and there's way too much abuse going on vocally. And, you know, we've all had those things occur over the years in this profession. But this was not that situation, and it was respected, I will say, by all of the powers that be. And there were days that I could go longer. There were days I could get away with an hour. There were days that I could say, you know, I'd had a busy week doing other things, and 30 minutes and I'm ready to quit. Let's call it. I got to save it. So I've probably answered way more than you ever dreamed of wanting to hear, but that's the inside scoop on how Goldar evolved.
So I gotta ask you in regards to that, because I noticed this too, and I'm pretty sure Dan and Kwame and Chris, everyone, and Jess picked up on this too. Like, I noticed in the earlier episodes of like Power Rangers, like Mighty Morphin, like Goldar's voice was very.
Well, you're making my point.
Yeah. Okay.
You're making you're literally making.
I'm not going to repeat that. I'm not going to do that.
But yeah, because it was really squeezed. It was very pinched. It had a little higher pitch to it. I have to say I'm not embarrassed to say, but I really wasn't committed. You know, because they said it was nothing. It appeared to be nothing, and I went in and just went and. You know, and then they said, "Oh boy," and I went, "Ooh, okay." It hadn't even gotten to the point really where I was like, "Oh, goody, it's a big part." I mean, you know, as we go along these year in and year out, you're kind of really hoping more times than not, you're kind of hoping that it's not a big part. You know, you want to get in and out as fast as you can, but. Once I found the voice, I was content, and it was fabulous. And, you know, hearing it back, and it was like, you know, now I am committed, and it really is a part, and I'm looking at the character, and he's a real character, and, you know, I'm bringing everything to it that I can. So I'm 100% committed. So that it answers your question. You're right. And it was night and day from the beginning stages of Goldar to when I found him.
I see.
Going off that, did you ever think he'd become so iconic and so beloved of a character? I mean, he's like he's huge. A lot of people he's a fan favorite. So like, did you think he'd ever become this icon?
I did not. And I had no way of knowing or thinking that. I went in and gave it my everything. I knew he would. I mean, he was written as a very one-note character. And my job as an actor was to bring everything I could to what could be construed very easily as a one-note character. In other words, I guess what I'm saying is I could have just walked through it. And I believe I brought a lot of different emotions into the character, which I think I'd like to believe contributed to why he became this you know, somewhat iconic character. I mean, I think I brought, you know, sadness and anger and humor and parody, and, you know, I'd like to believe I brought a plethora of different things into what were not sometimes very interesting lines. Other times they were. Sometimes it was a great fun. I mean, you know, when I'm stomping around in the fog, you know, stomping around and carrying on and making it clear I'm just gonna do you in, and I'm loving it. I mean, that is just
cinema,
beautifully evil.
Yeah.
That's something I think people forget too. His character evolved through from season 1 to season 2, 3, Zeo. Like, people forget just the different arcs and things he went through, and which I'm not sure if you saw Beast Morphers or Grid Connection or Making Bad. They just did Goldar so dirty, and same with the 2017 movie. I hate what they did with him there. I don't even know what happened there.
I thought that was really a mess.
Yeah,
They
Yeah.
butchered Goldar in the 2017 movie. I mean, I
that
love the
movie
movie to death.
sucked.
I wish I
I'm
had a
sorry.
sequel.
That
But
movie sucked.
I know
Yeah.
it had
Wasn't-
potential to have a sequel, but not really. But
No.
I mean,
But they did
and then
Goldar
Beast
so.
Morphers, and then Beast Morphers, they kind of didn't they do him dirty, even though they brought him back as
Yeah, they
Goldar
did.
Maximus.
They did him
did.
really dirty.
They did.
They
and it was
did.
Yeah,
not
they did,
cool.
right? Goldar, yeah.
I certainly think they did not only myself and Goldar an injustice, but I think they did. I really think they did the movie an injustice, and I have to tell you, I thought the movie was so dreadful that I'm glad I wasn't a part of it because it was a terrible movie.
Yeah,
was.
I'm not a fan of it. I don't like it. So
Another thing I really hated about it too was their blatant plugs. Like literally, they had Rita go into a Krispy Kreme and just promote that shit.
For no reason. It didn't even
No
make
reason.
any
None.
sense. And I used to be afraid of that version of Rita. Well, not anymore.
Nothing personal against.
It
Elizabeth
was
Banks.
just a very ill-conceived. This is a prime example of when Hollywood goes completely south. They missed it on every level.
even
Yeah,
the Ninja
And
Turtles.
that's too bad. I would love to believe there's still room for a really interesting big film with all of our original voices, and I don't think they would use the original Power Rangers. I think they'd go to stars, and the chances are pretty good I would also be replaced in this day and age where it's just so star driven.
Horrible.
I think it would be a mistake. I know the Transformers held on to their original voices. Peter, who I became
Yeah.
quite fun friends with at one con. I think we were in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
But
Peter
he
Cullen.
really got a break by Hasbro when they used him, and I think I'd like to believe that we original bad guys would be brought back, and then stars be the Power Rangers. But I just don't know anymore. I don't know. These are things I don't know. I don't know what the powers that be decide. I mean, how they greenlit that mess in 17 is beyond my comprehension.
Same here. Like how I felt about the Michael Bay's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie is exactly how I felt about the Power Ranger movie of 2017. It was just a butchering of the original franchise.
and they
Well,
were
I
all
mean-
the one thing I didn't like about the Rangers is they were all depressed and angry. It's just like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, did you even watch the show? It was the opposite of that. Like,
Well, you know what?
and it was
It comes down to a script. It does.
Yeah,
It
the
comes
script
down
was-
to
yeah.
it comes down to the script. If you don't have a script, you don't have anything. And they didn't. They had a terrible, terrible script.
They did.
It was ill-conceived, stem to stern. And green lighting a bad script is the next worst thing to a bad script. They greenlit it. Well, that's the end of that. Off and running, and money is being spent, and good money thrown after bad. And it lost a lot of money.
so much
Oh,
money.
absolutely.
So much viewers they lost.
They
Oh,
lost
it
money,
lost
they didn't have the
everything.
budget.
Yeah. And it wasn't cheap. I mean, it wasn't cheap.
No, I think what was it like an $80 million budget or some shit like that?
It was
Yeah,
expensive.
which is, boy, that's rough, man. That's a lot of scratch
It
for
is.
such a piece of shit.
All that just to turn into fucking
It was
shit.
dog shit.
They did the reverse. Instead of taking chicken shit and turning it into chicken salad, they actually did the reverse. Taking chicken salad and turning it into chicken shit.
Well, they did.
Plus, what's worse is
Of
they
course.
would call you racist or misogynist if you didn't. They would just throw out the labels if you didn't like it. And it's just like that doesn't help the cause any. It's like, wait a minute, we're telling you this story is bad, the script is bad. Work on making the characters better and actually making it what the fans would like. And as I said with
Remember.
Goldar, I hated how they did you for that. Like he was just a gold blob. It was like, what the heck, man? Didn't like.
Well, yeah, let's
stupid.
not
That's-
even
It was stupid.
be
It was
bothered
stupid.
with the fact that let's just face it, it just was, he wasn't there, and
Yeah,
whatever it was there was kind of like, what is that?
It's just a knockoff version of Goldar.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
And I just want to say too, also you mentioned voice acting too. One thing I loved about Power Rangers too is voice acting. I've studied voice acting like since I was 9, and most of the people you saw like I had on were like voice actors like yourself, Barbara Goodson, like Richard Gansino. I would love to have Bob Pappenbrook had he still been with us. He was another person I would love to have. Like, and I've had so many like Billy West, Pat Fraley, all these people. Like, I just love
Mhm.
voice acting just as much as I love Power Rangers. I love Power Rangers.
Well, it's you're talking about a lot. You named all people that are big VO guys in the day. I don't know that VO can sustain with uh, the fake voice stuff coming. I just don't know that. I think voiceover is the first that's going to get axed.
Which is terrible because it's such a very
Frightening.
it's very versatile like a field.
Well, I'd like to believe they'll discover quickly that they're not getting any heart. In other words, if you did Goldar, AI is too complex and complicated for me to further comment on because I just don't know what they can or can't do. Can they take my Goldar, basically can they grab off 5, 8, 10 lines and develop AI of whatever they want to do and still get that underlying emotion?
Chris,
This is frightening for us.
Chris, you're an AI
Yeah.
expert. You can answer this question.
Wait,
So
is it?
yeah, you bring this up, and I actually been using this app called Pocket FM to listen to a story called My Vampire System. And it's a pretty good story. I recommend it to all you. And yeah, they actually use narration that's entirely AI generated, as well as imagery that's AI generated. And although you can actually hear some level of expression from the characters themselves, you don't really catch any authenticity. Maybe it's a work in progress, and hell, maybe you're right. Maybe they will actually indeed take away voice actors as the ensemble themselves. And yeah, it's definitely a bit disturbing to the point where we actually have to look into how the entertainment industry itself may no longer be reliant on studios, and I guess overall relegated it to how mergers can just act a show for arbitrary reasons.
Well, this is
There's
just
no
it.
silver lining there, but at the same time, it's a catch-22 because right now, as it is, AI doesn't really match with what a real person can bring to the table.
Again, as you so aptly pointed out, Chris, it is a work in progress and it's in its infancy. Being that it's been around for so long is one thing, but the bottom line is this still is in its infancy. What it's capable of may well go beyond our comprehension, both voiceover and on camera. I mean, we may have seen the end of the beginning of the end of voiceover and movies and everything as we know it. I mean, not in my lifetime, I don't think we're going to get quite to that point, although Screen Actors Guild voiceover actors are absolutely freaking out. I am not, because I'm
You're retired and you're well off right now.
somewhat retired. I mean, it's all behind me. I'm going out and doing shows. I mean, my God, I'm getting the best of all worlds. That's not to say I still don't do jobs. I do. The thought of driving down to Los Angeles after living on the Central Coast of California, I really hate it.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Damn, didn't know.
Sorry to hear-
Sorry to hear
No,
that.
I steer
here.
clear of LA. Who lives in LA?
I mean, I don't.
Not
I'm on the
me,
other side
sorry.
of the world.
I've been there and
No.
I live on the West Coast, so
I'm
we're
a
in the
New
same
Yorker.
at least.
I'd
I'm on
like
the other
to
side
live
of the
in LA
world,
one day.
so I'm safe.
Was that you talking, Chris? You live there?
No, I don't live in LA, but I've been there and I live on the West Coast, and we're in the same time zone at least.
Oh, where are you?
Oregon.
Oh, I see. Okay, and are you on the coast?
Gresham area. So no, it's actually like more inland.
I see. Okay. Okay. I'm on this. I'm just below I'm Hearst Castle is up the line 4 miles.
All right.
And you know I'm Chicago, so I'm
And
Yeah.
way
you
other
know I'm a New
side.
Yorker.
And you're New York. Right. Yeah.
Oh, Kerrigan randomly, you know. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, practically
That's a
from
cool title.
He's got my vote.
all corners of the globe here.
I'm not getting into the politics. Don't even
Oh
go
no,
there.
no,
We
no!
are
I just
not
wanted to
doing-
show off
we are
this
not
amazing
doing
shirt
that.
because
It's
it's
just a
great.
great shirt.
Yeah. Yeah, and the video that goes with it, and a lot of stuff I said in that video, I stand by. I wrote
just-
that video. I wrote that. I wrote that. I
You
wrote
wrote
that in about an hour and a half. And I stand by throwing all those pencil pushers out of Washington, and they can all become street sweepers, and it's a government program, and will save a lot of money.
There you go.
Pay them a decent wage, but we're not going to continue paying you $200,000 a year to do nothing.
Oh, no.
And if you can get money out of politics altogether,
To get into any of it, because a lot of these issues are, they're hot button. They're hot button issues. And everybody has a side. You can't do that, you son of a. Well, how do you go? And it's like, oh, guys, please shut the fuck up.
My words exactly.
I'm gonna take your word literally right now, Kerrigan. Oh, tongue tied. Right now, and that's why I'm gonna let Jess ask the next question. So, go ahead, Jess.
Sure.
Ask.
How did you belt?
What's that, Kwame?
Wait.
We're not going in order. We're not going in order with the questions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Carry on, Jess.
Okay. How did you balance Goldar's comedic and menacing aspects?
How, excuse me for being daft. When you say, how did I balance his exactly, what are you asking me?
All right.
Yes.
Comedic and menacing aspects.
Well, that's a tough one. And that gets back to script. I have so nothing to do with the choices that are being made at the top with the suits. I don't completely understand when they went totally kooky, comedic, weird. It's almost like I damn near said to Scott at a point, I need to talk to somebody as to what are we doing here? What is happening? Why is this changing like this? You're turning him into a buffoon. And Scott had no idea. And we both kind of decided this isn't my job. I am not directing. I am not writing. I am not producing. This is not my show. I am playing the role of Goldar. So in answer to your question, as an actor, I went with the flow of what was going on. So quite honestly, I relied on my acting ability. If it's starting to go goofy, I'm trying to keep a balance of this is Goldar and this is getting a little goofy. So I might get goofy out of the side of my mouth a little bit, like I might almost be resisting it a tad because I don't understand why I'm going in this direction, and carefully etch that in without getting into trouble or anybody really seeing that I'm doing this with a raised eyebrow. I bet that's an answer you wished you hadn't heard. Little much, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah.
Who?
Well-
What? What the hell is he talking about?
Can I mention your medicine part though, Kerrigan? How you absolutely nailed it. There were 3 times in Mighty Morphin that literally made my heart stop in fear. And one of your scenes is actually one of those scenes. In Greenwood Evil, we talked about Greenwood Evil, the scene where Jason and Goldar are battling out, and Jason's on the floor, and Goldar is literally trying to kill him and impale him with his sword. When I
Good
saw
times.
it, yeah, and when
I'm sure I've caused a lot of children to be still seeing shrinks over the stuff that went on in
No,
that
you did.
film.
No, I'm saying no. You did a
Oh.
good job. In fact, I'll actually tell you what I told Michael Sorge when I saw him at MorphinCon too. Like that's another thing I was going to tell you too. Like that scene was you did your job so amazing. Like and that scene, and also the scene with Michael Sorge with the Terratoad when he had all the Rangers and Dan and Kwame. You guys are Power Ranger fans, like avid fans. You would know how scary was that scene with Terratoad when he ate the Rangers and you literally see their faces in his stomach. How scary!
Well, that did. I
Don't
thought it
get
was
me
cool as a
started
kid.
with that freak. Honestly, I remember seeing him on TV many years ago on Jetix. Honestly, that scene made me so uncomfortable. I
It did.
hate Naruto.
I never
See-
went bug eye ever. I went
Here's-
bug eye like this. When I saw it.
It was the
Yeah.
opposite with me. I wanted to recreate him, so that's why I did. Because he's one of my favorite characters of all time. So I had to recreate him.
Daniel, we have that in common. He's also one of my favorite characters of all time.
I mean, Goldar is the
But-
only villain in
but-
my Morphin I absolutely adore. I mean, along with Rita and everyone else, along with Lord Zed. But Goldar will always be number one.
Poldar's
Thank
top
you.
tier.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you all. Thank you. Jesse, I want to make sure. I think you asked a very interesting question, and I thought I want to make sure that was it too esoteric? Did you understand what I was trying to convey?
Yep, it was very interesting. You're very welcome, Kerrigan.
He gets
I
it.
just,
He totally
I
gets
just
it,
didn't
dude.
want to just kind of go, I didn't want to think you're sitting there going, I haven't the faintest idea what he's talking about. So, okay.
Yeah,
Kwame?
I understand. Don't worry.
Kwam, you had a question?
Yeah. All right. My question is, can you share any memorable moments from the recording sessions from Power Rangers?
Well, I don't know. I don't know that I can because I can't. I don't know, but I will tell you that we did so many outtakes, so many joke recordings, so many blue recordings that are, I assume, stuffed in the vaults of Scott's wife still holds them somewhere, and I can promise you we said some shit that is so politically incorrect and so not woke that if it got out, we'd all go to jail.
I'd love to hear it. That'd be
Well, I
hilarious.
would I would too. And we just had a lot of fun. I can't explain why is it so funny when I say something and do something that comes out of Goldar's mouth, and it's never as funny while I'm recording it than it is when we play it back. Something about the shit coming out of his mouth after it's been recorded and the playback, and we all just fall on the floor laughing. So it doesn't really answer your question. There was not a session that I recorded, not one, that some horrible, very vile thing I would say to Rita or to the Power Rangers that, thank Christ it didn't never saw the light of day,
At least it didn't.
I got into trouble once, and it's not answering your question specific to Goldar. I was directing a show at Saban called Mapletown. Do you remember an anime show called Mapletown?
I've heard of it.
I don't think I've
Certainly
heard of the anime, but I mean,
heard of it,
I'm
but
into
I didn't
anime,
watch
but
it.
Sadly,
I
no.
don't know that name.
Yeah, it was an
Bell?
anime. It was an anime thing that was weird. I say weird. It was kind of like, what the fuck is this? The mother and the kids, and I mean, what is Maple? I mean, and I'm directing it, and I'm directing Hyam's daughter. He has 2 daughters, and the one is, I think, I think she's the one that's in it. I don't think they were both in it. And she was a kick. She was a lot of fun, and we had fun carrying on in the sessions. She was very sharp and sophisticated for her ripe old age. I think at the time she was probably, oh God, probably she was maybe 15. And but you know, she was hip. She was hip, she was sharp, she was funny, and she and I had a lot of fun. And I directed her. She was sick in her bed as the character. And her mother comes in and, oh honey, how are you feeling? Are you okay? Oh mom, I'm feeling my throat. Thank you for bringing me juice. Some fucking bullshit. And I said to her, say, mom, yeah, I'm feeling like shit. And would you just get the fuck out of here? And it all sunk. It sunk. Meaning the line I gave her, I looked at it and I said, okay, it's sick. Get the fuck out. I'm so tired of your shit. Whatever I said, yeah, I took a minute because I wrote a lot of ADR. So it sunk like a dream. And I told her, okay, here's what you say, blah, blah, blah. You know, mother said, and she just fucking rolled out, fucking laughed her ass off before she recorded it, of course. I can't. Oh, I can't. Oh my gosh. Oh no, no. Oh, my father will kill me. That would be Chaim. I said, your father isn't fucking here. This is for us. Okay. She does it and she hits it in one. And we play it back and it is just golden. No pun intended.
That's right.
And I mean, it is hilarious. And you even see the mother kind of go, and that's it. And we clean it up and we do the right line and we go on with our recording session. How was that? Right?
Okay.
Done. Okay. It was
Cool.
fun. It was a fun playback. We record, boom, he's gone. And weeks later, I come in to Saban. This is when he had his little, his office was, the first office he had was on Colfax and Ventura, on Ventura Boulevard at Colfax. Just a small one-story, you know, building. And he was much more accessible and well, there was a producer that worked with some of the shows and his name was Eric Rollman and his assistant was Kelly. And I came into work one morning to direct. And Kelly looks at me and her eyes are real big. She's a very pretty blue-eyed blonde. And she said, oh, Kerrigan. I said, what is going on? Oh, you're in trouble.
Busted.
Oof.
So what's going on? She said, I can't remember Chaim's daughter's name. It escapes me. You're fucked. I said, fuck, Kelly, what the fuck is going on? She said, you recorded some really bad news shit. I said, what? This is again, it's not the night before. We're now weeks away. This was weeks ago. This was just a funny line. It's done. We're going on. Boom. The engineer buries it. The engineer didn't bury it. He fucked up.
Oh boy.
And
Snitched.
everybody's getting stoned during the mix at 4 a.m. Nobody's paying any attention to anything. And the line was not only dropped in, it went to air.
Oh no.
It was going to go on the air.
Oh,
And they
yikes.
caught it. They caught it before it aired. Like they caught it.
Phew.
And they had to pull the episode in, you know, it was, I've been fired in my entire life once.
What?
That was it. I was fucking fired.
Sorry to hear that.
So, but
Damn.
you know, shit happens. You got to be careful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was all in good fun. You know, I didn't think about, you you've erased, is that gone? You're sure it's gone? I didn't do any of that. I assumed the engineer is gonna fucking bury it. It's over.
Move it.
It wound up just floating on to the next thing, to the next thing, and there it was. And
Busted.
imagine if
Good.
that had aired.
That would have been bad.
That would have been- that must have been the worst experience for you.
It was terrible because it was a good gig and I was a good director. I got it done. I got the performance. I got the sync. I had all going on. I was one of the first directors before Steve Kramer really was doing much directing, and Wendy Lee wasn't doing. I was one of the main first ones. Greg Snagoff, Steve Kramer, myself, Michael McConaughey, Tom White, may he rest in Tom Weiner, may he rest in peace.
Was
Yeah.
Lex in that group?
Sorry,
Lex Lang?
sorry for your loss.
I'm sorry, you both said what?
I said
Go ahead.
sorry for your loss.
Oh, Tom?
Yeah.
Yeah, Tom. I like Tom. Poor old
Oh.
Tom.
Yeah.
He was a
It was
talented
recent too.
guy. Very recent. It's only maybe 2 months.
Yeah.
We talked about Goldar. I want to talk about your time as the Magna Defender on Power Rangers Lost Galaxy. Another one of my favorite seasons growing up. Remember of like voicing Magna Defender, and do you prefer voicing bad or good?
Well, bad guys are always
Funner?
look, any actor's going to tell you flat out, playing a bad guy,
Too fun.
it's just more fun. You get to bring out all these terrible things that you can't do in life. And more times than not, a bad guy has many different layers that you can also play if the script is even decent. Magna was a magnificently written character with many levels, and virtually was was an anti-hero. And I think what's interesting about this Magna is that character was only in 9 episodes, but those were very serious a written arc of beauty. I didn't just come in and bang out Magna. I was called by Scott to play him. I didn't audition for him. He said, I want you to play this character. You're the only one that's gonna, they'll, due respect to all the other actors. He said, you're the guy that's gonna bring what I need to this character. And I watched him very closely on the screen and heard all the what's happening here. Cause this is 4 years away now from, this was 2000.
Yeah.
So I'm called in to do this, and I said I'd love to, and I came up to Magic Mountain where the studios were, and we talked about the character, much more so than you usually do at all. You usually just boom, start recording. But no, I wanted to see and talk about and what's going on with the sun and do. So in answer to your question, he was virtually an anti-hero of the finest and highest magnitude. And I based him off of Clint Eastwood. The voice was very Clint Eastwood-esque. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But you're right. His whole arc is so tragic and so it's good, but it's depressing. But again, so good. But it's just I love everything about
it. It was
Magna
real
Defender.
drama. I mean, it was real.
Yeah.
The real thing. I really was challenged, if you will, acting the act. It was a tour de force for me. It was, I really had to dig deep for some of those readings lines that I had.
There was a lot of death in Lost Galaxy, especially between Zika and then Crone and just that. But it was handled very maturely. Like nowadays, it's just stupid, and now they got the multiverse stuff, which I hate. Like nothing means anything anymore. But back then, it actually, like his arc, his whole story meant something.
It was very humanistic. I mean, it really was. It was really like live action movie. So I loved recording. I was very, I say to people, and I watched it for the first time a few years ago. I'd never seen it. And I decided, since, they're running these things on Netflix, I thought, well, I'd like to look at my performance.
Kerrigan,
see it.
I gotta actually tell you, YouTube has the entire Lost Galaxy season, so you can watch any episode of it. I can actually send you a link to that in the email.
No, I've seen it. I've seen what I need to see. And I just wanted to see it. I recall it as being is really good, and I was really very satisfied, I guess I'd say, with my performance. And so 20 years later, I said, I'm going to look at it. And I sat by myself in my living room watching all 9 episodes. And I sat there, and it was as good as I thought it was, because I was weeping in the end at my own performance.
Oh yeah, was it because of how tragic it was?
Yes,
It was.
Yeah.
I was crying by myself.
Yeah, damn.
And I thought,
Lost Galaxy.
you weren't bad, pal.
Speaking of Lost Galaxy, Terra Venture, I actually built it in Minecraft.
That's cool.
It took forever, but I mean, I got most of the domes. It was quite difficult to make.
And by the way,
And
it was so
You
cool.
did what again? I missed that.
Oh, speaking of Lost Galaxy, Kerrigan, Terra Venture, the space colony?
No.
It was Lost Galaxy. It's like that big dome. Like
Oh,
it's like-
okay.
it's like
Okay,
a
yeah.
ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a city. I built it in Minecraft.
Whoa. Wow. Yeah, you guys, you get into some of this stuff deeper than I ever got into the machine of so much of it. I mean, I went in and did my role, and more times than not walked away. Now, that's not to say I didn't have fun and appreciated every step of the way of doing all of this, and due to this moment. Nobody could have told me back then that we're going to go do these shows and these people are going to be coming and telling us all this stuff. I have to tell people when their hands shaking as they're shaking my hand, and I take it with the other hand and say, listen, it's okay. This is just as surreal for us as it is for you.
Did you feel the quiver in my hands when you shook mine at Morphin?
I thought you handled yourself pretty smoothly, quite honestly. I did see you, your eyes got all lit, and I thought, okay, I'll talk him down quickly.
You did, and you did. When you mentioned Scott, so do you mean Scott Page?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm a huge fan of him too. God rest his soul, Scott Page, who played Porto. Wonderful man, and he was the director too, right? Director, producer.
Well, he directed. He virtually directed all of the ADR.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Meaning all of us.
Beetleborgs and BR, right?
Yeah,
Well, I don't know.
Beetleborgs,
I can't speak to all and what all he did at Mattel. I came in and did some work at Mattel for him, but he is and was the director. Now, that's not to say that he and I wouldn't at times go head to head. I mean, it happens. I there are times I go, oh, that's really what you would. Let me give it the reading I want to give it. I mean, the reading you're giving me is so stereotypical shit, Scott. Just fucking let me do it the way I want to do it. And then let's take it from, we have those things, but we were very close. I mean, we were tight friends, good friends.
Another voice actor, that was at Morphin too. I had her on my show too. I believe you know her too. Was Rebecca? I forgot her last name. Forstat.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, I did a lot of work with Rebecca. Yeah.
Who did Rebecca play as?
She was the fight. Was it the Dan? Help me out here. You know this character, the Flea.
Oh, Fighting Flea.
Fighting Flea.
She and I
wait,
did
from Lost
animated.
Galaxy?
We did tons of work together over the years at Intersound and Saban. She's just salt of the earth. She is wonderful, wonderful girl.
Oh, it's awesome. And did you ever work with this woman? She's also a very good friend of mine. She worked on Lost Galaxy. She's a voice actress. Her name is Nancy Van Eiderstein.
I don't know her at all.
All right, I was just curious because you both worked on Lost Galaxy, so I wasn't sure. And she's a voice actress.
No, and again, what you guys sometimes don't, it's hard to grasp on, we're all passing ships. Sometimes you actually do record with somebody in the booth, but that's very rare. More times than not, most of the time, I come in to record. For example, I come in and do Goldar. Well, whoever I'm talking to or not talking to has either recorded already or they haven't. I have a script in front of me. Let's say it's Rita, and Rita and I are going back and forth. If Barbara has recorded, I'll take her in my headset where I'm actually hearing what she's saying to me. The 3 beeps come right on the tail of her line, and I say my line. More times than not, or 50% of the time, she has not recorded. She's going to come in after I record. I'm recording dry. There's nobody there. Nobody's on my headset. Nobody's recorded. So everything I'm recording is completely dry. I'm looking at the script and seeing what the character Rita said to me or is saying to me, and I am responding to that from the script. I am not hearing anything in my headphones. So much of the dialogue that you guys see back and forth, we were all alone.
Yep.
With those lines and those responses and those statements that we're throwing back.
So you have to piece them all together.
Well, we don't.
No,
They do.
them, yeah. You just record it and then they put it all together.
They put it all together, and it actually looks like we're right there. That
Plus you
happens
had
a
to-
lot too on camera, oftentimes with people that aren't even there and they're doing their close up.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's what helps with the acting, because you have to imagine what they're saying and have to react to it, like how to respond. Like imagine how they're saying it and they're responding to it.
That's
not sure if
exactly
I'm-
right. I mean,
Yeah.
that's your job, and sure, it's nice when they're in your headset, but nobody's terribly bothered if they haven't recorded first. Everybody enjoys it that much more, of course, if it's already recorded and you're coming in and it's like, oh, this is great. I mean, it's much more fun. And then, of course, in regular live action, not live action animation, in original animation, we are all in a room recording together. The whole cast is recording that cartoon together.
Oh.
Which is
Yeah.
ultimately, I have to say, it's more it's more natural for everybody to be there. The thing that made me crazy was we couldn't overlap when we're recording together. None of the lines could be overlapped. The editor always wanted the the editor wanted to have the be able to overlap a line if he wanted to on his own. I never agreed with the way they did those. I always thought we should all be set free to act the scene and let the overlaps occur on the taping, but they didn't do it that way.
Fortunate. And Chris had a question for you, but before we get into Chris's questions, Kwame actually has a very quick question he wants to ask you, and this is a question we ask every single Power Ranger star. It is a running gag. So go ahead, Kwame, and go ahead and ask this wonderful question to Mr. Mahan here.
So, how does it feel to be a legend?
What was that, Pete?
That was me saying you are a legend. That's what I'm saying. That was me lifting you are a legend.
It's a great question. I have to explain this to friends that don't really have any idea what this is all about on so many levels, meaning my friends that are outside of this circle of my business, which I have lots of friends that aren't a part of any of this. I play tennis with people that have nothing to do with the entertainment business at all. One of my regular partners, I'm playing tomorrow morning. I play Tuesdays and Thursdays with him. Love him to death.
Good.
Assistant superintendent of San Luis Obispo schools, loves drama, loves theater, but nobody understands, including my own mother, what it's like to be this kind of a iconic superstar in this world. You know, it's kind of like being, you know, and with all due respect to your question, it's bordering on, excuse me, it's a little surreal because it really is legendary. It is iconic. We are dealing with millions of people here. You know, my shelf life has held up a lot longer than bigger stars than I am or ever will be. But facts are facts. So I don't know how to answer that. I will tell you, I love the weekends when I go and I get to be that guy, but I also can see where being a big, huge movie star 24/7, every move you make, ooh, that could get sometimes. I mean, just over here at Power Morphicon that the other weekend,
Oh.
you know, there were times I was so fucking tired. And you know, people every turn you make, oh yeah, it's Miller. Oh, there he is. Oh, he's over there. And you're kind of like, Jesus.
He's like, oh no,
So-
here they go.
So you know, when you see these things on TMC where, you know, some actor or actress just fucking flew off the handle and went batshit crazy, and they're so quickly judged for doing something bad, I kind of go, they had a bad moment. Oh, you poor bastard.
Just
Oh,
that
I'm
one
sorry.
specific moment makes you
Poor
cringe.
thing.
Well, it does probably more so than the layman, and the layman's so quick to judge. And I look at it all a little differently because you know, and people can be so quick. Oh, it's such a hard job being a big shot, and it's like, oh God, that's not what I'm saying. Oh God, you can be so quickly misunderstood, I think,
Yeah.
and you have to be that much more careful. And you know, I have problems with that because you know, shoot my mouth, I talk, I fucking don't, I don't edit shit, and I'm like. I'm amazed I've stayed out of jail in this day and age. Thank God. So, anyway, I don't know if that answers the question or not, but it's weird.
I understand. I respect your answer.
I like it. I mean, you know, it's fun. You think it's not fucking bitching getting out of a moving violation? Saying you're fucking, yeah, what? Yeah, you want to, let me just sign this. I'm not bribing.
Yeah.
What's the kid's name?
Yeah, sure.
The fucking ticket book closes.
What's the name again?
Yeah. I mean, I've done this. I used to get upgraded with airline tickets when they could do it. Now the system doesn't allow any of that shit, you know. They can type fucking for all day and it's like can't do it. But anyway, you know, god damn it, it's fun. Anybody who tells you it's not fun, I just don't know if I would want anything to do with it 24/7.
I get it.
You
Yeah,
know,
I get it
It's
too.
good for a while, but then it's just not a whole thing and not full time.
I think there are times where you could just wind up going,
Ugh.
"Oh, come on, let's go out to lunch." No,
No, I'm okay. Thank you.
no, no. Well, don't you want to go eat? No, I don't. I don't want to
No.
go out. So I think there is an aspect to it that you can feel very weirdly isolated and trapped, and you don't want to ever be mean. I mean, I remember once a guy came up after the show, and I was actually with Epcar. We hadn't seen each other in a couple of 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, I don't know. We're having a drink after the show. Sunday, it's over. Not after the show, after the whole shebang. So we're tired and we want to catch up. I can see the kid. I see him in my mind. And he's always a regular. He's always there. He's been doing this for a long time. And he came kind of creeping up to the table, standing there. He's got his bag of stuff and all of his autographs. And, it's like, wow, God knows what he must have spent.
Oh.
And he's just very awkward and trying to figure out how to get in to talk. And I'm very cognizant of this stuff. I'm like, I don't know how to say no. I can't, I quickly go just, oh gosh, how do I do this? And Richard, oh my God. All of a sudden, you guys, the guy says, you guys, I wanted to ask, I wanted to say that hey, Richard says, hey, dude, okay, we've done this and we love you, but it's over and we're catching up and we're having a drink right now. And thank you for playing. Hit the road. Thank you. And I'm like, oh, Richard. Just, hey, party's over, man.
Pause over, man. Get out of here.
Yeah. I mean, he basically just went, and my hat's off to him for being able to do it. I couldn't do it. I can't do it today. I would have felt, and as it was, I literally was like, there he goes creeping off. Oh, he's creeping off. Oh, Richard, oh, let's go get him. Let's go get him. But I didn't. I took a deep breath and said, oh, God. Okay. Where were we?
You're like, Richard, no.
I know. So bad.
Chris, I'm sorry.
But, in all fairness, I respect what Richard did because there's a line and it was over and we done all of this and we done it and we done it and we done it. And it's like, there's nowhere to go here. And that sometimes can be very uncomfortable, can be very awkward. And, people forget that we're just people too.
I was just gonna say, people forget you guys are humans too. You can only take it so much. You need some R&R after all that. So
And there was nowhere to go, and
Yeah.
that's where we were. And I will say most people at that stage of the game know enough to know they're now engaging and it is over. And we've done and we've talked and they've done their thing, they being us. And some just don't know those boundaries. And that's hard. I mean, I have people that will linger, it happens, they just hang and they don't know what to say. And that's that can be very tough, but I do fine with it,
I think you do.
I mean, I try. I mean, I've caught myself at times, just being like, looking over at the handle like, God, get out.
we have a couple of questions before we wrap up too. And
Yeah.
Chris,
Yeah.
your question.
Shoot, if we're gonna have to
You can pick any question you want as long as we didn't ask that in the past.
Yeah.
I guess like, can you share any fun experiences or interactions that you've remembered at any convention you've been to?
Well, I kind of been sharing you all kind of all over the map kind of stuff, but one specific, I guess, you know, funny or I well, I remember my wife being the first Power Morphicon and the line was around the block. There's not much to this story, but it was fun. I will say that. I mean, really around the block. Like this was before VIP. I don't think he had a VIP. I think it was just a boom, the doors opened and
Oh yeah.
yeah, and I was going to get a coffee with her and she looks over, sees the thing and goes, "What? What?" I said, "What? Are those? Is that?" I said, "Yep. That's it. That's what I'm talking about right there. Look at that." And the line was well, I don't know. There were over 1,000. It was you. It was big. And she says, "Oh my God." And I said, "Here, you wanna see something real fun?" She said, "What are you gonna do?" "Oh no, what are you gonna do?" "Oh no, don't. I said, "Watch this. Watch. And we're up above. It's in Pasadena. I don't know exactly where, but the line, so I'm up here. Again, I can't tell you physically how or why or what, but boom, and they're all there. And they're fucking forever. And I said, "Okay, you ready? Here we go." And I turned. Nobody's really even sees me. She's with me. And I went, "Ride of the universe." Yeah. Oh my
Oh
God.
yeah. Wait, wasn't that for the movie?
I don't know, but I just said a line and whatever line I said, and the fucking line around went fucking.
I
Oh,
remember
Like we
that.
said, it's pretty much reference for the post credit scene in the 95 movie when after what happened with Lord Zed and Rita after Ivan Ooze has been defeated, and then when they got back, and then they were like,
yeah, with the snow
hostage.
globe when they got out of the snow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying that the moment in answer to funny thing, I mean, I don't know how funny, but she just was like, "Oh my God."
At the reaction.
Come on, let's get a cappuccino. I got to go to work here shortly.
Kerrigan, you we mentioned the movie though. Can I tell you my favorite line, my favorite Goldar line in that entire movie was
Yeah.
when you screamed at giant Ivan Ooze, "Go get him, Booger Man!"
Whoa!
I just loved how you did that. Like, "Go get him, Booger Man!"
Also, you forget one thing: long live the King of Ooze!
No, the King of Ooze.
You remember all these lines. I have to go back and look at the movie and see some of that. I love Paul.
Yeah.
I just love him. And he and I never met until only so many few years ago at one of these conventions.
He's a
Was it
sweetheart.
till Ranger Stop? You didn't I didn't know that was the first time. That's
No,
pretty
not
cool.
Ranger Stop, not this last one. No.
Morphin.
We met about I'm gonna say we met in 2000, probably 18,
Okay.
somewhere back east. And we met for the first time and we went to dinner and we just hit it off and had a ball together. And again, people don't realize we never crossed paths during the shooting or the recording of that movie at all. Never.
Not even
laid
the premiere.
eyes on him. Huh?
Was it not even the premiere? Did you go to the premiere at the time or no?
I did go.
Not even the
I did
premiere.
go. We still did not meet at the premiere.
Huh.
I don't know where he was. If he went, there were two theaters. We were relegated to the other theater, the voiceover people, and the big main theater, which is where we should have been, and we were not
Yes.
happy about it. That's probably where Paul was. He was probably in the big theater. We never saw or laid eyes on each other at the premiere, and so now at Ranger Stop and this last one, we were sitting right next to each other, and then we made that little video. Gardena
I
said,
saw
"I
it.
want you to do this," and I said, "What are we doing? What do you want to do?" And we literally just went in up to where they serve lunch, and Cardina said, "You say this, you say this, you say this, and look up there." I said, "Okay, Paul, are you clear?" He says, "I don't know. What do we do?" One more time. Cardina says, "You say, blah blah blah," and boom, bang, go, one take, over, went right back to our tables. I guess it's gotten over 1 million views.
Oh yeah, it's huge. A lot of hits. I'm one of those million likes that liked it. So
it was fun. I mean, we just jumped in and did it, and
yeah.
So I don't know if I really gave you, when, there were so many. When we did the live show, I couldn't get into the studio.
You're kidding.
The freeway was stopped, and I got to be backstage doing Goldar.
What happened?
Traffic.
No, I mean, what happened with the show? Like,
I went around the back to another entrance, and the guard didn't have me on that list, and an old guard doesn't know who the hell I am. And he said, "I'm sorry, I can't let you in. You're not on the list." I said, "Now listen to me. I have to be on that stage in 20 minutes. It's bumper to bumper out there because of us. And if you don't let me on, you're going to be fired. And it's not going to be because I am tattling on you. Your job is at stake right now. You better get on the phone, and you better get me on this motherfucking lot." And he got on the phone, and I saw the color drain out of his face. All of a sudden he hangs up. "Oh, okay, go. And that's when we knew how big this thing was. We did not know that this was this big. We shut down the 101 freeway.
Yeah.
That's insane.
it is, and I always wanted to go to one of those live shows. I heard so much about it, and I never got a chance to go to it. But I always wanted to go to like a live action Power Ranger show. Even like a Power Rangers on Ice thing would be cool too. If they did one of those.
I don't know how they do that.
I don't think they would handle
with
that.
the
You might
flights.
think about it. It'd be dangerous.
Live is intense. I mean,
Yeah.
live shit can happen live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look what happened to
Oh,
Indiana
yes.
Jones's boulder. You remember it fell into the crowd, that giant boulder. I think it was at the California one too.
Mhm. So, anyway,
Yeah.
have I met your expectations?
Absolutely.
We
have a-
exceeded.
You put so much detail in it,
Yes, you did. And I just want to, before we wrap up too, and we get to our final questions and comments to Mr. Mahan, I just want to say, like, we talked about Morphicon. I just want to say that Morphicon, to me, I said this before in my interview previously with Caitlin Murphy, that Morphicon is like Woodstock. I mean, nothing but peace, love, Power Rangers, and villains. Because Kerrigan, tell me if this is just me thinking too logically here, but without villains, there could be no good. So it must be good to be evil sometimes, right?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I wouldn't trade this. I wouldn't trade this gig or my life. And that's not to say there aren't all kinds of trouble, problems in everybody's life, but I have an awful lot of fun still.
You're the man, Kerrigan. And we're gonna
That's
dive in.
awesome.
We're gonna dive into our final questions and comments. So we're gonna start from literally bottom to top. So Jesse, and of course, ladies first.
Yes.
Final comments or questions for Mr. Mahan.
All right. What was your favorite episode or storyline featuring Goldar?
That's always one. You'd think I'd have that down by now. And my answer is kind of what it's a pat bloody answer. Let's face it, whenever I'm featured kicking, may his soul rest in peace, Green Ranger or Red Ranger, whenever I get to kick their asses, any episode, anywhere, anytime. That's all I got. I mean, you tell me your favorite. Maybe I'll go back and look at it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I actually grew up. Watching the Power Rangers Samurai.
Okay,
and my
you're just
favorite part
next,
would be-
please. You're dismissed. Thank you, Jesse.
Oh.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Answer, Jess. Wrong
These are the
answer.
jokes.
That was not.
These are the
Okay,
jokes,
Jesse.
Jesse. These are the
You're good.
jokes.
You're good.
Okay.
That was hilarious.
Nice to meet. Nice to meet you, though.
Well,
Zoom
it's
call.
nice to meet you too. I didn't see many of those episodes. I know that this thing went on for 31 years, correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
And
that's right.
It is formally off the air, not counting Netflix running it from the beginning still, correct?
Yep. No
Yeah.
more new episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you
So-
have to buy you can watch it. I got the box sets here. That's what I watch them on. I don't do the streaming thing. I like physically owning and watching them because Netflix can still pull it off at any time. So
True.
I don't know. I'm old school. Like
They can.
But so far, thank you, Netflix. So far, they haven't, and that has helped. That has helped me. The fact that these fans, like you guys, with your kids, if you have them, they can turn them on to these shows from the beginning, which is really cool.
And that's why, Kwame, before you say your final comment and questions, that's why for its 30th anniversary, Kerrigan, that's why I had to make this, the diorama I showed you with all the characters, including you in there.
Oh
every
yeah.
single villain, every single ranger, general, ally. It took me 4.5 months to make, but I want to make sure I pay tribute to you guys.
Yeah, it's really amazing
Let me see
what
if I can
you
go
guys
closer.
do.
Okay.
Just amazing. Some of the stuff I've been shown and given and the stuff I've signed over the years, it's really, again, this cannot be described to people that don't know what this is all about. I can't explain this to friends. They don't
Too
understand.
vast. It's
Yeah,
too
it's
vast.
too bad. Well put. Well put. Hey, there's somebody I noted that was not at the show, and I'm wondering if any of you can shed any light because I always see him. We're always near each other. We always talk.
Who's that?
Who is
Vernon
it?
Wells.
I had him on my show
Vernon.
twice.
Wait, who?
What happened to
Who?
Vernon? At
I
Power
don't know. I
Marathon?
actually sent out an email to him. Like
Vernon.
Vernon Wells. I actually had him on my show twice. I had him had him Lathan Games. Like I don't know.
Wouldn't-
Like I reached out to him. Like
I
never-
love Latham. Latham's cool.
Latham's great.
Yeah, Lathan's a cool guy, honestly. Dino Thunder was where it started for me, and then I went to the beginning of Power Rangers to learn how it really started, and that's how I discovered Goldar. Anyway,
And-
speaking of Vernon, Pete, wasn't he supposed to come back?
He was, but he never returned my messages. I emailed him.
that's
He
right,
never
yeah,
returned my
he-
emails.
I wonder if he's doing okay because he's always at the show, and we always have a lovely chat.
Yeah.
Jared, I love every villain. I mean, I had as much as I had Rangers on the show, I had a lot of villains on the show. One of my dear friends and one of my heroes growing up, Cat Brown, Katrina Brown was another one I had on my show. I had Sabrina Liu, who played Scorpina. I had Barbara Goodson, as you mentioned. I've had so many like villains on the show. Latham is another one. Vernon's another one. I had Amy Miller on the show. I had Kate Sheldon, who's another sweetheart. I'm very good friends with. And it's just, I love the villains. I'm a villain guy.
Well, I am
Same.
too, and Barbara and I are best friends.
Wonderful
So-
woman.
Oh yeah, she's cool. Cool.
Quam Quam.
So
You're-
what else we got?
Yep, we're gonna dive in. I'm sorry for interrupting. Quam Quam,
No, I'm interrupting myself.
your final final question or comment for Mr. Mahan.
Okay, thanks for making my childhood awesome, and also, along with the Magna Defender, thanks for making him. I mean, even though he's the most tragic character, and you gave him really good story in Lost Galaxy. But as for Goldar, honestly, there's just so many episodes I absolutely love about him. I adore him so much. He's one of the
I love
coolest
that.
villains, and you know it.
Yes.
Goldar will always be our golden villain, no matter
Yes,
what.
he is.
And I
Yeah,
know it.
plus, I love what you did with him in the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie, especially at the very end of the post-credit scene. It was funny. It's just, it would have been cool if Goldar could actually have his moment to actually be in charge for once.
Yes, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that I found that to be a bit tad irritating at times too. It's like, I'm constantly answering to either Zed or Rita, and
Yeah.
and I've noted, and I note, we all note, might we all note together that I'm the only son of a bitch that goes down and fights these motherfuckers while
Yeah.
they're telling
Yeah,
me
yeah,
You're the
you
muscle.
are, and
You're the muscle.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
are. And, oh yeah, and Lord
Yeah.
Zed did fight Tommy.
Do
one
it this
time.
way. Do it that way. You fucked it up again. It's like, why didn't you get your fucking asses down here?
Yeah, you go down
Exactly.
there.
And speaking of that, Lord Zed did take on Tommy like one-on-one, if you guys remember.
I mean,
Oh,
really,
that's
Goldar
great.
was doing the fighting. He was doing most of the
Yeah.
fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah, Goldar is the only one who fought the Megazord. He was the first one.
And with all due respect to all of that, and I'm kidding, of course, it's all part of the character, and it was fucking wonderful. But I am really the guy who worked the hardest, respectful of behind the mic.
Yeah.
That's not to say that Barbara didn't scream and yell her ass off. And at times I just, oh God, the jokes we made, I'd say, oh my God, sometimes, I mean, the outtakes, even sometimes at the show, she'll go launch into it and go, why don't you just shut the fuck up?
Okay, why do I actually picture Goldar actually saying that in the
I
actual
can picture
series right
that if
now?
this
I can
was
picture it
TV
perfectly
14.
right now, Kerrigan.
What's
Literally,
that?
I can see it perfectly right now.
Yeah. But I mean, vocally speaking, all that fighting, all those efforts and all that, vocal, that's, I was doing a lot more than just lines. I mean,
Yeah.
all these fights were, quite frankly, sometimes I was like, how many more of these?
Because they forget you were doing the grunts and because you had to do the kios and you had to match his motions as he's swinging the sword and stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
so.
yeah. There's
Yeah,
that, and it's in many cases, guys, it's not just grunts. It's like big, huge efforts, what we call efforts, which covers grunts and roars, and that when I come screaming in with a kick. I mean,
Yeah,
that
this one.
stuff is physically fucking taxing, and
Yeah.
and then the vocal aspect to it. And, I'd sometimes come in to record and Scott goes, oh, you're going to have fun this session. And I'm like, oh, how loaded are we? He says,
pretty loaded. Why the expression
you're
you're
doing
making?
your full 45 minutes.
Really loaded, man. Very loaded. Super loaded, actually.
Kerrigan,
But, Squat and Babu, I mean, what the fuck were they doing?
They-
jacking
they did
off up in
nothing.
the moon.
they were just laughing like
That's what
goofballs.
she said.
Oh, good one, Rita. Oh, good one,
That's what she
Rita.
says.
I'm like, what? Why can't they come down and do something?
Yeah, I mean, all Babu and Scott did, all they did was, oh, good idea, Rita. Oh, good idea.
Yeah,
Well,
those two are useless. They are useless.
They were bunch
Well,
of Nimrods.
God
Bebop and
love them,
Rocksteady.
but
Legit.
Goldar goes to more Comic Cons too, so
That's true.
I earned my fucking money.
Kerrigan, would you say to Kerrigan that Zed was a better boss to Goldar than Rita was? At least Zed gave him back his wings.
Yeah,
Well, we're back to the writing. I mean, God, Robert was wonderful, wasn't he? As
Yeah. He was a great
Robert
guy.
like anyway.
I always
Cool
wanted to
guy.
meet him. I always wanted to meet him.
Yeah,
He was a great man.
He was an interesting character. He was a really wonderful actor.
Who was he more like, Finster or Zed? Would you say Robert was more like Finster or Zed?
Well, there was not really much Finster in Robert. There's a little of all of us in all of these characters, of course, but way more Zeddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, he's more of Lord Zed.
But he also could be such a delight. I mean, one of the last times we spent together was at a hotel in the middle of Indiana or something, and we just kind of hung out in the pool and talked about all kinds of things. It was really a lovely, lovely evening we spent together, and that's I think the last time we had together. He was an interesting and to some degree a tortured character.
Yeah.
But so many of us actors are to some degree. I mean, people are, look, we're a bit of a flawed species, let's face it. And it takes a lot of effort to come from a place of, like, it sounds cliche, but love.
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we all need to come together, you know, listen to all the great songs. Come on, people now, smile on your brother. You know,
Doesn't
I
that,
mean,
doesn't that
those,
sound so corny?
they sound so cliche.
Sounds corny, doesn't it?
But it's
I was
true.
going to say, it's so cliche on the one hand. On the other hand, come on, guys. We're all in the same boat.
Yes, we
Really?
Yeah, we all just get along.
Yeah, we all just get along. There you go. Right.
Literally in the same boat.
You
And
know,
when we
you
don't get
guys are, you're in a world now that I just don't know what to say. It's just it's just out of control on so many levels that
Yeah.
it's
it
like,
makes people say, "This is why we can't have nice things."
Mhm.
This
You're
is
not
why
wrong,
we
Pete.
can't
I
have
mean,
nice
that's a
things.
fact. That is a fact.
now where does the show go? This show.
The show. Oh, what I do is I edit it. I when I'm done editing and finalizing, I put it on my YouTube page, and then I will send you a copy of this link immediately when I'm done with it. Because I'm very
Fun.
quick. Gold Daniel. Final comments or questions for Mr. Mahan?
Well, here's the thing. I got two things. One's a question and then a comment.
Sure.
This is kind of a stupid question, but Kerrigan, is it true that you did, I'm not sure where I heard this, but tell me if I'm wrong. Did you do the line, I'm pretty white? No, was pretty fine
Yes,
for
I
a
did.
white guy. Was
I
that
did.
you?
Yes, it's
That was,
me.
I thought so. Okay. I got it
It's a
queued up
great
here.
story.
So
It's a terribly great story as to how thoroughly my agents fucked up that entire negotiation.
Oh,
They cost me,
let's hear it.
my agents cost me on that about 100,000.
You're kidding. That's
bloody hell, really?
ridiculous.
Really?
Well, they didn't know what it was. They thought they didn't pay attention. And I came into a studio that I'd never been in before, and I thought, this is a weird gig. And I'd already auditioned for it.
You did. Okay.
Yeah, I'd done it, and it's like, what is this about? Well, you know, they're handling a lot of clients, and I'm just one client. And hey, Kerrigan, it's Peter. You got that gig that you read for over at the Voicecaster. It's over at such and such studio on Wednesday at 10. Okay. That's kind of how it works in our business. It's not, oh, yes, Peter. What was that again? Well, that's the one that bloody, no. Boom, 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 boom. And I walked in and I'm kind of like, I've never been in here. I've been in every fucking studio. Huh. Where's the studio, guys? It's through the door, dude. They're all staring at some TV or shit. All right. Through the door. It's a big room. And I see guys way across the room behind glass, way away, 25 yards. And I kind of wander in, and then one of them I see kind of pick a head up and go, hey man, just step up to the mic right there where you are, kind of another 10 feet. I said, okay, yeah. So that's the metronome. Yeah, you know, a tick, 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 tick for metronome. So what you did in the audition, just kind of do the same thing, and we'll just lay some down, and we're cool. And I'm kind of like going, right, my instincts right now are going, the fuck is going on here? This is not a commercial. This is not, what is this? What am I recording? What is this? I'm getting paid scale, guys. Well, musically, when you record on an album, all your royalties, not residuals, they're called royalties, are based on what you were initially paid. So the negotiation needed to be, the negotiation for this gig needed to be negotiated up front. Not scale. I needed what they would have been willing to have paid, because the dude that I was imitating, some big rapper, wanted probably 100,000 up front to do that. Well, I think we probably could have gotten 10 all day long. All my future royalties would have been based on that 10. They were based stag scale, which was less than $1,000. So when I saw my first royalties on that at 1,200, that was based on less than 1,000. If I gotten the 10, I'd have, well, the album went double or triple platinum.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right on it.
I got about, over time, a couple of checks for 1,100 and a couple more for 900. And of course, if it had been, properly negotiated, I would have been made 100. And I said to Peter, "You fucked this up and you're fired."
Game over.
Yep.
Yeah, because that was a #1 hit for a while there. Just, I remember that.
Well, Daniel, you hit the nail, and it's on the one hand, it's very prestigious and fun that it was me, but oof, boy, that's one of those where you just go, "Oh my God."
Yeah.
And
Well, I'm glad you fired
my
him.
instinct
You made
said,
the right choice to fire him, man.
well, I should have called Cunningham. I should have called Peter, right? "Excuse me, guys, I got to make a quick Hey, I'm in a music studio. I feel like I'm doing something here on an album. Are we still at scale, or have you negotiated?" I wished I'd made that call. Well, I didn't, and that's water under the bridge, as they say.
Yes.
There's other things that I did that, my God, I was the voice of TJ Hawk on The District for nine episodes, and it was a fun, wonderfully fucking wonderful character. And I'd say to the associate producer when we were recording, nobody knows who this voice is. I'm like a political shock jock that's coming out of the commercials, and there's no reference to a studio or a red light. He says, I know. It's not being done right. I said, but we gotta change that. He said, well, I can't. He was a young associate producer. He was scared. And I didn't have the guts to go up to the executive producers, and I wished I had, and said, hey, we can shoot a red light spinning, or we can shoot me in Tableau in the studio. My fear, of course, the executive producers say, hey, what? You're telling us how to make our show? You're always afraid you're going to get fired. So I didn't do it. And I was gone in 10 episodes.
Wow.
That's an aside. I mean, we have those in our, that one hurt because it was did you guys ever see the show, The District?
No, I have
Live
I've heard
action?
of it.
Sadly,
It sounds familiar
No,
to me, that
sorry.
name, The District.
The District was a live action nighttime drama.
Yeah,
And-
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Sounds familiar. I think
I played PJ Hawk in the first season.
Okay.
Oh,
It was
okay.
a radio political shock jock. Very well written. I'm doing me like you're hearing now.
Yeah.
Carrying
Yeah,
is
yeah.
well written, and they let me change. They let me change dialogue. He let me change all kinds of shit. I think I could have saved it. I think I could have saved the whole concept if I just had the guts to go, can we do this? Because I know how, but it's hindsight. And that show could have retired me. I mean, literally, like, woof, that could have, that character could have been way further developed as the show went on, and it could have been great fun. I could have wound up on camera, from that character. And same with the show Team Knight Rider. I love doing the Ford F-150, but the show was no good. They had bad scripts. The regulars were bad actors, and the directors were terrible, and the show failed, and it was canceled after one season. I mean, these things happen.
Yeah.
And then you got a Power Rangers that goes on for 31 years, and it'll be on my my stone, the voice of Goldar. It's like, well, that's not so bad.
No,
That's okay.
legendary. Everyone's gonna remember Goldar.
Yeah. And really, I'll finish my last comment. Just Kerrigan, always great seeing you. I love you,
Yeah.
and I'm so glad I finally got to show you Goldar and his glory and everything because I've been waiting a
love it.
long time to show you him. So,
I
and if you want to see him,
I love it.
thank you. And if you want to see him in action, I can have Pete send you my YouTube channel. It's Romano
Yeah.
Productions, and you'll see this costume because in my films, I'm here. I'll give you the quick rundown. It's the backstory of Lord Zed, how he became skinless, but you also see Goldar's backstory and how he got the gold armor and everything. So I thought you might want to check it out. It's pretty cool. So
Send me his. I'd love to look at it.
I'll send him when I send you the interview. I'm going to send you his info
Okay.
so that way you
Okay,
can see
good.
it.
Good.
and thank you again, Kerrigan. Always
Yeah.
love seeing you. And Pete, thank you for having me.
Anytime, brother. And Chris, you're one of the final people to give the final comments or questions. So here we go for Kerrigan.
Well, I mean, there's so much to unpack. And I actually have one comment and two questions. I'm not even sure which one to pick, unfortunately.
Choose any, bro.
Pick any.
Well, ask them all, and I'll answer
ask
the
them
best
all.
of my ability. Let's do that.
Yeah.
So, onto the comment that I have. With the advancements in AI, it sort of just gives me like this vision that someday we're not really going to be basing things on ratings anymore or budget, and that could actually be, I guess, beneficial for the viewers, not so much for the actors. And yeah, it kind of reminds me of like how Star Trek had the holodeck, and how they could actually just create all sorts of scenarios that would be for their own entertainment and just be able to unwind on their downtime. Could we see that in the not too distant future? Is it closer than we think? I don't really know.
I'm not the right person. I'm only the right person from the standpoint of instinct. I think we're in for change like we've never seen in the entertainment business. And I don't know. I just don't know what or how any of it's going to shake. I know there's too much product. There's too much content right now, and the producers blew it with the streaming, and they opened a can of worms that they don't know how to close. It's so confusing that what they're missing the boat even further on right now is, people just don't know what is on what channel, or do I go Roku, or do I need my cable, or do I get a Peacock subscription? Well, what is Peacock Paramount? Well, no, I don't know. Well, does Disney? Well, Disney owns ESPN? It's like, what in the fuck is going on, guys?
Yeah.
You have created an absolute mess.
No, right?
Right? Right?
And streaming services have essentially killed television.
Literally.
It's just it's completely overwhelming. I tried to watch. I'm a tennis head. I play tennis literally daily, singles, I might add. It really points out. God, I wish I was faster and better, but I'm good. But I'm not young. I'm not in my 20s. My point was trying to get the US Open straight and watching what a mess the tennis channel is, and the fact that you guys aren't doing more interesting things. When you're in the middle of the US Open, we've got Americans for the first time in 20 years that are going to be in the finals. Are you and you're showing some fucking, you're repeating Roland Garros? What are you doing? And we can't even get straight what time the finals on ESPN. And then, as it turns out, it's not on ESPN. Now it's on ABC. I mean, the producing aspects are a mess. I mean, we're really in a mess. So respectful. And then you add the AI element and go, oof, I'm glad it's all behind me. I'll keep my iconic character and just keep going around the country going, hello. Look, I'm not AI.
If you're ever in Chicago too, we're definitely going to play some tennis because I play tennis too. So just throwing that out there. So.
I love tennis, honestly.
Which one?
I love
Who
tennis.
just said that? Kwame, is that you?
That was me. Yeah,
Right.
Oh, are you both tennis
Yeah,
players?
I played
I'm a tennis player. Yeah.
Tennis is my all-time favorite
did in high
sport. You know,
school.
I'm actually really good at tennis. I mean, I haven't played it for a while, but
I played in high
honestly,
school.
I'm a pro.
You're a pro. Seriously?
Yeah, okay. Back then, when I was still in school, I was actually the fastest in my class to play tennis, and everyone loved my skills because I mean, I do have the athlete body. I mean, I'm
Ooh.
slim. I may be slim and skinny, but I'm fast.
So you're fast and and you got your stroke. You got the strokes.
You can say that.
Oh, I'd love to fucking kick your ass.
You challenge me, go hard. If you want to fight me in tennis, I'll take you on myself. If you want a serious goal,
Hey,
if you want to
Kwame,
go in
you're the
that
pro.
thing.
You're the pro, Kwame.
Yeah, I think I'll take you on. I'd love to see what you got.
Challenge accepted. Unless you don't want your golden ass to be embarrassed.
You're not gonna like the running cross court backhand or forehand at all, and it's on a very sharp angle, sir.
Oh, the
my
smack talk.
word.
You can try me, man.
Yeah,
You're
A
I'll fuck
smackdown.
you. I will fuck you up, Kwame.
Oh yeah, I'll kick your ass.
Kerrigan, what happened early? Kerrigan,
What
What's happening? What's happened?
Kerrigan, I thought we
What is happening?
agreed we weren't gonna have any arguments. Like, that's not related to politics.
Well, it's tennis, so we're
And it's in
okay.
politics
We're
is
okay.
Yo,
Do you
good,
think
okay.
Kerrigan? But Kerrigan,
What?
do you think that a main event, like a dream match, would be Serena and Venus Williams versus Pete Sampras and Andre Agassi?
Oh God, dude. I mean, I mean, look, I just watched Fritz completely fall apart to Sinner, and he just wasn't up to the job. And what they're doing out there, what those pros are doing, I can't conceive. And maybe Kwame can. I mean, they're hitting it, the rallies are 80 and 90 miles an hour.
Oh yeah.
Fucking Fritz served against Tiafo in the semis. It was the fastest serve of the tournament of the US Open, 135-mile-an-hour serve.
Ooh.
I can't even I wouldn't get my racket on that. Fuck that.
Okay. All right.
So, and the physicality, most people don't realize how physical you do, Kwame.
Yeah.
Running from wing to wing, how incredibly insane that, talk about huff and puff.
Yeah, yeah.
There are times I finally get over into one wing and it's my final. It's like, I'll get it. I got it, but you're sending it back and I'm over here. I can't do it. I'm out of steam. At least I'm out there at, I'm turning 70 in January.
No.
You don't look a day over 20, sir.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I'm with Pete on that one. You're still young to us.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
Always.
Thank you.
Always.
I
You're
actually,
welcome.
Pete, a
Age
funnier
is just
one.
a number.
Oh, it's not just a number, honey. I'll tell you why. Because you see, when it gets into that kind of number that's like 90, that's that the number part kind of goes, this is just a number too. Bye. I'm sorry,
Okay.
but it's a weird
That's
thing.
okay.
It's a weird thing. And you're right. It is just a number, kind of, but you actually do. I can't believe I'm this age. It's just like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get that.
Who? Oh yeah, you. Oh me. Oh me. It's wrong, man. I mean, you guys are young. You're young.
Yeah.
Who's the oldest one here? 38, you said on the end?
Yeah, it's
38?
I'm
39.
39. I think I'm the youngest. Yeah. I'm
And-
the youngest. I'm
And the
23.
and 39, keeping in mind what that is in the pro tennis world, 39, you're done. 37, Djokovic is the old man.
So wait, 39, you're done for?
37, Djokovic is 37, and he is the old man.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Oh yeah, you're finished as a pro. You're 39. I think
See.
Warsinka, or what is his name? I think he just finished his last hurrah. I think he's Warsinka, I think is his name. I think he finished at 39, and of course Federer is finished and
Yeah.
done the last 2 years at 38.
Sorry.
Nadal's finished, 38, 37, 38. It's wow.
I think I remember
These
hearing
guys are
that.
getting surgeries in their 20s.
I think I remember hearing that boxing has a stricter cutoff age, like at 35, maybe.
Professional sports is just not your friend.
Oh,
Yeah.
The best tennis there is recreational, the way
Yeah.
I'm playing it, because the thought of a profession doing that professionally and moving on to the next tournament and having to start back ground zero and work your way through round 1, 2, 3, the quarterfinals, and oh my God.
That's
can't
how
even-
I do recreationally. Yes, and growing up, I had a lot of tennis too, so that's how I play. So
Now, who is currently playing?
I don't. My brother would know. I don't.
I haven't
Um,
played tennis for the last few years.
I haven't played since high school.
I still play time to time, like especially in
Do you
like since
feel
it's
like
been so nice here.
do you guys want to? Do you feel like picking it up and getting at it again, or are you?
Yes.
Yes.
Sure.
I'm down.
I'll go to the park and I'll take my racket and I'll hit the wall with it.
Are you a lefty?
I'm a southpaw, sir.
I saw you just
All
swing with
right.
your left hand.
Right.
Yep,
All right.
I'm right.
left hand. I'm a
All right.
left-hander.
Yeah, lefty.
Right-handed dude.
Okay, guys, I
Uh,
guess we're gonna wrap on a
yep.
tennis note, which is my favorite. That's where I'm the happiest right now in my
Okay,
life,
and
on that court. If
so
I
Okay.
I don't go to church, that's my church.
okay, so let me just
Not for
let
like
me
my
just-
two questions either, huh?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go on.
Oh, I do have time for my two questions.
Yeah,
Go
go.
ahead, go ahead.
Okay.
Go on, man.
So, oh yeah, you used to also work on the anime Robotech, and that was actually one of the animes I followed on Toonami, at least.
Mhm.
I was definitely really into it when they were focused on the Macross saga. But yeah, kind of after that, it's sort of just like similar to Power Rangers, turning into Zeo, came to be like too much change coming too quickly.
Uh-huh.
And what would you say your experiences working on Robotech were?
Great question for me, specifically because that Robotech was really my kickoff in voiceover.
Okay.
So my experience with it was I was in heaven. And it happened in a very weird, strange manner. My girlfriend was a blues singer, and we met doing a play, me still carrying the on-camera torch, as it were. And she worked at a little pasta high-end pasta place on Sunset Plaza, which Sunset Plaza is the Sunset Strip, but it's the high end, the snooty part of the Sunset Strip. There's nothing gritty about Sunset Plaza. And she came home one night and said, "Oh, this guy came in late to get food. And he said, I have a great voice and they're recording down the street and I should come in." And I said, "Well, Wanda, that's basically somebody coming in at 12 midnight and hitting on you." She said, "Well, maybe you're right." I said, "Well, let's go down to this studio that he talks about tomorrow and see what's going on." And we did. And sure enough, that little studio was called Intersound, and they were making a little anime show called Robotech. And Greg Snagoff was the gentleman who came into the store that night, and he greeted Wanda and he met me, and they were hungry for good actors. They couldn't keep up with the show at all, and they were writing furiously. And I met Carl Masek, who was responsible for the show, and my story is just that. Wanda tried to dub, and she wasn't very good at it. I did next, and I was very good at it. I got it fast. I picked up on it like that. And Greg said, "Wow, you really did that quick in one take. Let's try another one. And I tried another one. And we didn't even have beeps. And the screen was very small. It was just a little TV screen. And that shows up and, and I got another one. And, I mean, I'm just waiting tables these days, trying to get by and trying to be an actor. And I was 28. It was 19, let's see, 73. I did Drums in the Night. That's where I met Wanda. So this would be 70, about 75, I guess, 75, 76.
Either one of them, maybe.
What's that?
Said either. It could be either one of those years you mentioned.
Well, it was Robotech year, and it would have been let's see, it's not 76, 79, 80, 81. I went to New York.
Man, I figured
83. No, it's not 70s. Excuse me. 83. I did Drums in the Night. We're talking about 84. 84.
I'll look it up right
84,
now. It's 19
84. 85.
85. 85.
85. Okay.
85.
So I'm 55, 65, 70. I'm 30 years old, and I've done many plays around LA. I'm not really dedicating myself to the degree I should be as an actor. And the next thing you know, I'm going down and I'm getting hired on a regular basis to go do Robotech. Just background stuff, what we called Walla, bits and Walla. A guy has 3 lines in that scene, and I'd do those 3 lines, but I'd stay to do more background and people on the street. And then I think you mentioned the middle one. I think was the middle one Macross?
Macross was the first one.
And what was the second one?
Robotech Masters, I think.
No, mine was something else. There was a first one, a middle one, and an end one. Mine was the middle one where I played Private Sean Phillips, and I was hired to play Sean Phillips. And this was basically the beginning. I guess we're ending it with the beginning. This show is ending with the beginning of my voiceover career. Literally, Robotech is.
Yeah, they say.
I never looked back. I never looked back. I was off and running with a voiceover career, and Robotech was literally my beginnings. It's the first time I never had a regular job again, ever again. I never did anything but voiceover, occasional on camera, but I wasn't pursuing it anymore. I'd fallen into voiceover. And I called Wanda actually about 5 years ago. We're still kind of in touch. And I said to her, I want to say, if Greg Snagoff hadn't come into Pasta, etc., and we hadn't gone down to Intersound, I have not the faintest idea where my career would have landed. And I thanked her. I said, I have you to thank for my voiceover career. It's true.
You showed you were really grateful, though.
Yeah.
I was. And I told her, I'm you look back and kind of see if you turned right instead of left, where would you be? And, who knows? You don't know, but I do have a pretty good idea that is where my journey went. And I, and Carl Masek took to me, and Bob Barron took to me, who directed so much. And, I was doing live action dubbing, and then I went on to do more looping on ADR stage, and signed with Don Pitts and voiceover agent and commercials and promos, and my whole career. Basically, I have Wanda, Pasta, etc., and Greg Snagoff to thank for kicking off my career. My career kicked off literally, and I never again had a regular job. From that point forward, 85, at 30, I was nowhere. I was virtually nowhere. And 30 years old, I was off and running.
So yeah, it would count to say it was like one of your humble beginnings.
Whew, I'll say.
Right.
I'll say. And I met all these people that you've had on your show. That's where they all started, right there.
Guess that's count then is humble beginnings then.
It is.
Yeah,
Sweet.
yeah. Many of the people you have mentioned, and others, Cam Clark was
Billy
was
West.
was in there with us, and Lara Cody, who did not go on to do much in the way of voiceover. She did ADR and looping. Um, um, Epcar, Sorich, Steve Kramer,
Richard
all of
Cancino.
those people. I mean, yeah, and Richard came later. Lots of these guys came later. Dan Warren came way later. He wasn't one of the original core members,
Oh.
So it's just it's interesting to look back and realize. Let me take it a step further. It's emotional. It is emotional. Those were my beginnings to this whole thing.
And what-
Saban came into it late, I mean, somebody said one of them, Doug Stone. Doug Stone.
I had Doug
actually
on my
did-
show.
There you go. And Doug wasn't doing much of anything. He wasn't core. But at some point he said, this new guy, Chaim Saban, is coming to town. I think he's doing some cartoons. Doug actually discovered Chaim. There's a lot of bodies buried here.
Yeah, yeah.
Kerrigan,
There's like so many of them, isn't there?
Kerrigan, did you ever get to work with? I'm just curious. Like, did you ever get to work with Bill Kopp, or like he did Eat the Cat? He was also on Fox Hit. I think he did some Bond projects as well. But I think another person too, that I was gonna ask if you ever worked with. I'm trying to remember what the name was. Shoot. Would you put Rebecca Forstad in that category too?
Yeah, but Rebecca was a core member.
Now I remember who I was talking about. Did you ever get to work with Townsend Coleman?
Again, we were passing ships. They were kind of a different faction. They were doing a lot of original animation. The Townsends and the Cam crossed over to all of it. Cam
Oh,
was
okay.
doing a combination of everything. Here's my Great Dane. My
Oh,
great.
hello.
There
Hello.
we go. There we go.
Aw.
Beautiful. though.
Townsend was predominantly original animation. They were like the hierarchy. The original animation were kind of the we're kind of
Cartoony, right?
we're the big
Yeah.
shots.
Oh, okay.
And you are
Big
the
shot.
little people down there doing anime, and yeah. That's the way it was. I mean, I'm not trying to be smart ass or cute, but the bottom line is, those folks were, like there's a whole faction of those guys. You mentioned him earlier, who you said earlier right at the beginning.
Bob Packenbrook?
No, Bob was
Not
nobody.
Bob.
Bob wasn't even core.
Richard Horvis?
Well, no, Richard was not core. No, Neil.
Neil Kaplan, right?
Oh, Neil. No. You mentioned
Ross. Was it Ross or Kaplan?
Ross. Neil Ross.
Yeah.
Neil Ross is of that.
Oh, I see.
Mhm.
But I do want
Yeah.
to talk about a Neil that you did definitely work when he was at Morphin. He treated you
Kaplan.
well. Kaplan, yeah.
He's a character, man.
He's so funny. He actually one time, like at the convention, like when I was at the villains panel, I was trying to give him a praise. I was trying to say something nice to him. He's like, "No, don't do that. You're here for these women. These women are here for you. For you. You ask them the questions. Don't talk to me."
Did you know Tom? Did any of you know Tom Weiner?
I've heard of him. I never got the chance.
He did Master Vile's voice. I've
So-
only
Oh,
met
wait,
him
he was
once.
Master Vile then.
Neil Kaplan, because it's inside, so it doesn't matter. Neil does the meanest, baddest, bitchinest Tom Weiner to the point that it's just sacrilege. No, Kerrigan, I'm actually thinking about you for this role, and now that I think about it, Kerrigan, I think it's probably more appropriate that I play it myself. I mean, he does the best impression of Tom Weiner of anybody ever. And again, you don't know him, so this is not gonna play worth a shit. I would cut all of this out of your show and just put it on the floor. But I'm now sharing stuff with you that's just he killed me so
Wow.
bad at the show, so bad at this last power. Kerrigan. Yes, I understand I'm dead. Oh, Oh, Neil, you are so bad. You are so bad. Because Tom was very, very full of Tom. Couldn't help himself. It was just Tom, just Tom.
I have a final comment. That
Sorry.
was,
Oh,
it's
wow.
okay. I just have a final comment. I asked all my questions. You answered all my questions, sir. So
Oh,
I'm
well,
gonna.
I-
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Chris. Go ahead.
So me and Pete are kind of like at odds about this. He thinks that the Power Rangers franchise should just go ahead and fade into the sunset. Me, on the other hand, I'm a firm believer that the end is not the end. And I often had this vision that since a lot of Power Rangers fans these days, we've all grown up and we'd like to see like a maybe a more adult-oriented version of Power Rangers. I would have liked to have seen this like direct analog for Super Sentai. If that is like, of course, we do have like American voices saying American things and meshing better with like American culture. But at the same time, we would still like keep this different version of the Power Rangers, rather this version of Super Sentai. I guess maybe trying literally meaning super soldiers, and make them into sort of just like more closely in line with like what the original franchise was, as opposed to like just like a complete deviation and creating a completely different show that just recycles footage from the original Japanese version. And yeah, we would probably like still see the same plot, see the same scenes, but at the same time, just like keep it more like direct as it was supposed to be, or in its purest form, if you will.
Well, I'm not the person to discuss any of that with. I've written 2 screenplays and a TV show, and I can't get anybody to pay any attention to anything that I've done in that regard. And it sounds like you have a very clear concept, Chris. And, you know, if you wanted to pursue any of that, it seems to me then that you absolutely sit down and you don't try to write it. You write a synopsis and or you write a treatment, and you figure out how to get to those people and pitch what you would like to see, and you just might get an appointment.
I may actually have to ask Pete because he has all the connections.
Ask who?
Pete right here.
He has the connections, you know. He's our connections boy.
Well, I mean, that might well be. And again, if you all want to figure out what, I mean, again, getting anything done today, getting anybody on the phone today, getting anywhere today, I wouldn't know where to begin. But I can't, there's nothing you just said to me that I can't even begin to tell or comment to. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know. They didn't know what they were doing with it. They quit on the whole thing. They believe it's probably over. That's probably what the powers have decided. This is finished. So if you believe wholeheartedly that it is not, well, if you somehow could pitch what you think should and could occur with, you know, solid foundational writing specific to, without keeping it as concise and pitching like a monster and getting in front of the people that might actually maybe you might have some hope of going, hey, we like where you're going with this. I don't know how you get in. I don't know. Hasbro still owns it, correct?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I don't even know. You got to find out who's running the show, who you might know, who might know. How do you make the contact to do and bloody, 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 blah. But it's dedicating your everything in your life to this. All of your time is dedicated to this, all of your time. And probably having it completely squashed in a very short period of time. Or you don't quit, or you just keep frickin' pounding.
You keep fighting.
You know, I just read an article before I did your show today in the New Yorker. Al Pacino, not the fresh New Yorker, the last New Yorker, the literally just September 2nd as opposed to 9th. I missed it. Al Pacino's background, where he came from. He wrote it himself. Well worth looking at. Just seeing what nothingness from the Bronx of nothing. He came out of nowhere, nothing. The streets, man. It's a great article.
I gotta check that out.
Oh, I'm
yeah.
gonna read it.
Sounds good, man.
Oh, it's tremendous. And it's he wrote it. It's by Al. And it basically says, these are my roots. This is this is where, fuck. It's like, wow. Wow, wow, wow. So you can do it still. I don't think I'm the gloom and doom guy. I'm the one that says, it's all gone. Well, no, it's not. What it is all very confused. My God, an enterprise of this magnitude just being dropped with all of these worldwide fans. I'm telling you right now, you come up with a concept and a script that has real bones. And that is cast with stars and the original voices of the badasses. And I'm going to end it here. We were real actors. We're trained actors. The future shows were not. They were grabbing the bottom of the barrel stuff and they get some decent, but the on camera and I'm talking Mighty Morphin on camera, they weren't real actors. They were all fresh. Everybody's fresh on camera. But us voiceover guys, we are trained actors. All of us in those first 3, 4, that first generation of Mighty Morphin. And I think that's why it carries a little more overall weight, because I think more was brought to those characters because we were trained actors.
Yeah.
Now that's not to say that there weren't guest stars all over the place in future ones. I dubbed right. I was side by side with Bryan Cranston many a session.
Yeah.
Great Bryan Cranston.
Yeah.
I got his book too. It's a really good book.
Oh, I'll bet. We almost did a movie together. We were supposed to do a movie together, a small, low budget movie before, way before Breaking Bad or Malcolm in the Middle, right? His dad was a B movie producer, and he and Dan Shore and I were going to do a road movie together. And that's a whole nother story for another show for another time.
We love to
Anybody else?
We love to have you back another time though. But Chris, did you have any more? Or was that it?
No, that was it. Really.
Was it? Okay. Then I'm gonna
Go after it, Chris. You have the passion, and I think you might have the talent.
He's
I
right.
also had a vision of like a revival for this other show that I always enjoyed, near and dear to my heart, back in 2001, which was called Gary and Mike. It was a claymation show that came out in, well, of course, 2001. I just said.
2001's my year when I came to existence. That's when I was born, dude. I'm a 2001 boy.
You made Kwame. You made
your
your
debut.
debut.
Saying that, Kwame,
made my debut, Pete.
Yeah, you made your debut on Broadway. Is what you did.